Hello. Today I want to share a hopeful message about AI. So, everywhere you look, every time I open my email, I have like 5 newsletters about, oh, this is what AI is doing. Or on social media, there are all these courses for how to master AI. And obviously, it's something we can't ignore and we can't get around. This is something that's happening. And with that, I know a lot of people are excited, there's a lot more opportunity, and there's a lot of fear. As a very traditional, old school type of person, I have always been a little technology averse. It took me a really long time to get a smartphone. I was like the last of anyone I knew to get a smartphone. It took me a long time to get social media because I was just so resistant. And now I definitely see the benefits of it. And I'm just as addicted as the next person to all of these things. And I really appreciate social media for giving me the outlet to share my poetry, for example, and to make these videos, for example. Yet, of course, there's a downside. And with AI, the thing that a lot of people fear is the replacement of jobs. And the thing that I fear the most is AI's ability to perform creative tasks and how lazy we can get, knowing that, oh, AI will just write it for me, or AI will think of that content idea for me. And yes, it creates a lot more content and it allows the possibility for more people to create things. But then my question is like, is the person even creating it or is the robot creating it? So I wanted to share today a hopeful message about AI because I don't think it's all doom and gloom. My name is Trisha Veldman. I am a speech and confidence coach and spoken word poet. You can find out more about me at powerfulandpoised.com or by subscribing to this channel. And something I have always been passionate about is helping people trust themselves to be themselves and to feel confident in your own skin. Being a speech coach for 10 years, something that I have noticed with time, and even before being a coach, just something we all see with time, is that the more technology advances and the more reliant we are on text-based communication and social media and things like that, obviously, I think we've all noticed our natural affinity and prowess, our ability for human connection has suffered. So, for example, I remember traveling Europe by myself without a smartphone in, I think it was 2011, and I made friends everywhere I went because people talked to strangers and it was normal. And oh, you're a solo traveler, let's chat. Nowadays, you go to a bar and if someone's by themselves, they're on their phone. And it makes it harder, of course, to strike up conversation when people are on their phone. Plus, there's just the fear of social connection. There's stranger danger, and it's harder to feel comfortable doing something you never do. And when we have the crutch of, oh, I can be connected behind a screen, then we lose the motivation and we lose the necessity. A lot of people say they feel less comfortable calling their friends than they do texting their friends these days because it's easier and faster to text in some ways. I think calling can be much more efficient in a lot of circumstances. But let's say you're reaching out to someone you don't know that well. It's easier to send an email than it is to pick up the phone and call. And the more reliant we get on technology, the more our social skills go out the window. And levels of social anxiety have dramatically increased since the advent of technology because we're not forced into in-person situations as much. And COVID did not help with this at all. I noticed a stark increase in social anxiety after COVID, especially with people who had been isolated for a long time and then just trying to get back out in the real world felt really awkward, felt really stilted. Now, I think a lot of that has passed because enough time has passed since COVID that people are more acclimated to being in person again. but some of the effects have remained. And now a lot of people prefer Zoom, for example, to being in person. Anyway, all of this is to say, that's happening. But all of this is to say, with AI, and as this goes to an even more advanced degree, one, I think people's social skills are going to get even worse because we have even more technology to replace it. Now, instead of just having the option for text-based communication, we have the option for ChatGPT to write out what we're going to say in the conversation, or to write our speech for us and to do the critical thinking and sometimes even the soft skills for us. Managers, I've heard, are now using AI to edit what they want to say to their employee, to add in the pleasantries and to add in whatever it is that's going to be more helpful for that person. So, for example, I saw this thing that was talking about how to tailor your message based on someone else's communication style. So that's a skill that people can have, which is learning how to change your communication style depending on who you're speaking with. That now that skill is being done by AI. People are having the AI adapt the script and then memorizing the script or sending the script in an email, as opposed to learning how to do it themselves. This is not a criticism, I'm just pointing out something that's happening. And I think that it's something we should all be a little cautious of relying on too much, because if we lose all of our social skills, we're not going to be happy. We're meant to be social creatures by nature. And a lot of what we're doing is not natural. It's very unnatural. And I think that it's going to be harder and harder for us to find internal peace and contentment if our relationships are not strong. And it's going to be harder for our relationships to stay strong if we don't know how to relate. But I said this is going to be a hopeful message about AI. I think all of those things may be happening and may get even worse in the future. My other big fear is that creation, like things like writing and even making movies and acting, now all that can be replaced by AI with avatars and things like that. My fear is for the creative side of the world to take a hit and for people to stop trying to be creative, because it's like, well, I don't need to write the book. I can just tell AI what I wanted to say and it'll write the book for me, for example. But here's the hopeful part of it all. The more and more technology grows, the more valuable our humanity will be. And the more valuable our skills will be that AI cannot do. Yes, AI may be able to write something or create a piece of art, but look, if you go to a farmer's market and you buy a homemade hand-sewn dress, that's a lot more expensive. It's considered more valuable than a dress shipped from China made in a factory. And so when I started reflecting on all the occupations that have been replaced throughout the ages because of technology, obviously writers is not the first one. Art is not the first one. Art has been replaced by computers for a really long time. And that means that anything handcrafted tends to be considered more valuable because we see the honor in that. We appreciate that a lot more. And there's so much to consume. There's so much material, there's so much content, and there's so many goods, there's so many products that it's like quantity over quality. And of course, some people are still going to opt for quantity and get the cheapest option that does the job, for sure. Not every person who's making hand-sewn dresses is probably making millions of dollars the way that a factory might, because obviously it takes more time, takes more energy, and not everyone's willing to invest in that purchase. But I like to believe that with time, we might actually start to kind of revert to the old days where everything was homemade, because we'll see more value in it. And especially, I think this is especially true for live performance, because AI cannot replace live performance. It can replace videos. AI could make a clone of me, on a video and have me perform a poem that it wrote. So that maybe is replaceable, or that's replicable. But my in-person performance, AI cannot take away. Your ability to speak and have a conversation is something that still will be yours. And that is why I'm so passionate. I've always been passionate about this, but I'm even more passionate now about helping people feel confident in their own skin, because that's going to be one of the few things that we actually have left moving forward. It's going to be something that I think will be considered so incredibly valuable. If you have the ability to entertain or perform or just exist in person with other people and do that well and feel good about it, that's something not everyone's going to have. Especially the more we rely on technology. Remember, these skills are actually getting worse, it seems. And so if you start investing now in your ability to do things that AI cannot do, start investing now in your comfort being in person with other people, start investing in your soft skills, because even though AI may be able to write nice emails for you, it can't give your body warmth to exude. It can't change the way you show up energetically in the room. It can't change the way you make people feel or how you influence people to feel. So, all of this is to say, I do have high hopes that with all of this technology, people will start to appreciate humanity more, will appreciate homegrown food more. We already are. And homemade goods and crafts and art and the voice and writing done by people as opposed to technology. Even though sometimes the writing by technology is super convenient, we'll still be able to tell the difference at some level. And especially the thing that we definitely will, I think, start to value more is in-person theater, in-person performances, in-person poetry perhaps, but anything that is getting us off a screen, outside of the technology and back into our humanity, because that's how we were made. We were made as humans. We were born in flesh and bones, not computer chips. So what I recommend is find your passion and do that. And if you're thinking, well, I'm really passionate about stuff on the computer, great. You're probably going to be way ahead of me back here saying, I hope this all works out the way I'm thinking. But what I encourage you to do is think back to when you were a child. What did you really want to do between the ages of 7 and 11? And they say that's most aligned with your true purpose. But I'm suggesting think about what you did as a child, because you likely, unless you're very young listening to this, you likely didn't have as much technology when you were a child as we do now. I cannot say how it is for kids who have grown up with smartphones. If that's you, then I don't know. But I would think back to when you were a child and you were using your imagination and you were playing and you had to think of things to do without having someone, having content to consume that would tell you what to do or distract your mind. How did you want to spend your time? How did you dream of spending your time? Some people say that in a few years, work will be optional. And so then it's going to come down to how do you want to spend your time? Because you can essentially do anything and make money in very few hours with all of this technology. And so now is the time to start really investing in the skills and the passions that you have that maybe incorporate AI, maybe incorporate technology, but that need you to thrive. And for me, that will continue to be performance and spoken word and feeling comfortable with people, because that is something, as far as I can tell, AI can't take away. And if that's something that you're interested in and you feel blocked with your confidence or feeling comfortable in person, then I highly encourage you to check out my online course called Show Up Sure: Secrets to Embody Confidence for a Lifetime, or reach out to me because I do private sessions. I also do group sessions. I'm going to start some virtual group sessions soon, so it doesn't matter if you're located in the same place or not. We can have some virtual group sessions to talk about these things and to give you practical, tangible exercises so that you can trust yourself to be yourself. No matter what happens with the world, no matter what happens technologically, no matter what happens with AI, you are still a human. And I did another video fairly recently about this, so watch that one next. I'll have it pop up here, and leave a comment if any of this resonates. Thank you so much for watching, and have a wonderful day.